The heart of Nashville, where the twang of guitars and the soul of country music collide, is reeling from a bombshell no one saw coming. Vince Gill, the beloved voice behind tear-jerking ballads like When I Call Your Name and a 5-time CMA Male Vocalist of the Year, has just released a letter so raw, so cryptic, it's left fans sobbing, speculating, and scouring every word for hidden meaning. This isn't just a farewell note or a polite nod to retirement. It's a message that feels like a final curtain call, heavy with an unspoken weight that's got the country music world buzzing. Why now? Why this tone? Is Vince, the Oklahoma-born legend who spent decades pouring his heart into every note, hiding a health crisis, grappling with a personal struggle, or simply closing the book on a legacy that's defined a generation? As devoted fans and industry insiders dissect his words, one thing is undeniable. Vince Gill's final letter is more than a statement. It's a seismic shift that's rewriting how we see his storied career, his battles, and his unbreakable bond with country music. Born Vincent Grant Gill on April 12, 1957 in Norman, Oklahoma, Vince's story begins in a place where music wasn't just entertainment, it was a way of life. Growing up surrounded by the soulful sounds of Oklahoma's musical traditions, young Vince was drawn to the raw, acoustic beauty of bluegrass. He wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing feeling, picking up a guitar and singing with the sincerity that would become his trademark. By his teens, he was already performing with local bluegrass bands, his voice carrying a warmth that belied his age. It was in the 1970s with the bluegrass group Mountain Smoke that Vince truly found his footing. The band's dynamic performances and tight harmonies earned them a loyal regional following. But for Vince, these years were more than gigs. They were a masterclass in musicianship. Playing alongside seasoned performers, he honed his skills as a vocalist and guitarist, developing a style that blended technical precision with emotional depth. Even then, those who heard him knew this wasn't just a kid with talent, this was a future icon in the making. By 1979, Vince's ambitions outgrew the local scene, and he took a bold leap, joining the country rock band Pure Prairie League as their lead vocalist and guitarist. His voice, smooth, emotive, and effortlessly soulful, brought a new dimension to the band's sound. Their hit Let Me Love You Tonight became a breakout moment, introducing Vince to national audiences and proving he could hold his own in a commercial space without losing the authenticity that defined him. But Pure Prairie League was just a stepping stone. In 1983, Vince made the gutsiest move of his young career. He left the band, packed his bags, and headed to Nashville, Tennessee, the beating heart of country music. Signing with RCA Records, he dove into the solo world, determined to carve out a space that was unmistakably his. Those early years weren't easy. His initial albums, while critically respected, didn't light up the charts. Nashville can be a tough town, where dreams are tested as much as they're made, but Vince wasn't deterred. He stayed true to his craft, writing songs that were honest, heartfelt, and deeply personal. Patience, it turns out, was his superpower. Everything changed in 1989 with the release of When I Call Your Name. The album's title track, a gut-wrenching ballad about love and loss, wasn't just a song, it was a revelation. Vince's voice, tender yet powerful, carried every ounce of the song's heartbreak, and listeners couldn't get enough. The track soared to the top of the charts, earned him a Grammy, and cemented his place as a country music powerhouse. Suddenly, Vince Gill wasn't just a promising artist, he was a star. The 1990s became his golden era, a decade where he churned out one critically acclaimed album after another. Pocket Full of Gold, I Still Believe in You, High Lonesome Sound. These weren't just records. They were chapters in a story of resilience, love, and redemption. Vince had a gift for singing about the human experience with a quiet intensity that felt like a conversation with a close friend. His lyrics weren't flashy, but they were true, touching on everything from the ache of heartbreak to the joy of lifelong love. Songs like I Still Believe in You and Look at Us became anthems for fans, played at weddings, funerals, and quiet moments of reflection. They weren't just hits, they were lifelines. What set Vince apart wasn't just his voice, though it was undeniably one of the best in the business. It was his musicianship. A world-class guitarist, he often played lead on his own records, a rarity in a genre where vocalists typically leaned on session players. His solos, whether delicate acoustic runs or soaring electric riffs, added a layer of emotion that made every song feel alive. Industry peers took notice, and so did the awards. Between 1993 and 1995, Vince won the CMA Male Vocalist of the Year award 5 years in a row, a feat that underscored his dominance and the respect he commanded. But what endeared him to Nashville wasn't just his talent, it was his heart. Known as one of the nicest guys in the industry, Vince was a mentor to younger artists, a collaborator on countless projects, and a steady presence at benefit concerts. He didn't chase trends or court controversy. He built a legacy on authenticity, and fans loved him for it. Yet, even as Vince basked in the glow of his success, the country music landscape was shifting beneath his feet. By the 2010s, a new wave of bro country had taken over, with its party anthems, truck references, and slick production. For an artist like Vince, whose music thrived on emotional depth and storytelling, this trend felt like a betrayal of the genre's roots. He didn't stay silent. In interviews, he spoke candidly about his concerns, lamenting the lack of substance in songs that prioritized catchy hooks over meaningful lyrics. "Country music used to be about real life," he said in one widely quoted moment, "not just beers and tailgates." His words weren't meant to tear down younger artists. He'd spent years mentoring new talent, but to protect the genre he loved. Fans of traditional country rallied behind him, praising his courage, while some newer listeners dismissed him as out of touch. The truth, as always with Vince, was more nuanced. He wasn't against change. He just believed music should mean something. Vince's outspokenness didn't stop at bro country. He also pulled back the curtain on Nashville's darker side, calling out the politics that often dictated who got airplay or awards. In a town where connections could trump talent, he spoke up for artists, especially women and older performers, who were sidelined by an industry chasing trends. His honesty was rare, and it didn't always win him friends. Some radio stations quietly scaled back his airplay, and whispers of industry pushback followed. But Vince wasn't fazed. He'd never been one to play the game for the sake of approval. Instead, he kept making music that mattered, proving with every album that authenticity could still cut through the noise. His stand wasn't just about protecting his own legacy, it was about ensuring country music stayed true to its heart. While Vince's professional battles played out in public, his personal life drew just as much attention, often for reasons beyond his control. In 1997, his marriage to Janice Oliver, a country singer from the duo Sweethearts of the Rodeo, came to an end after nearly 2 decades. The couple, who shared a daughter, Jenny, parted ways quietly, without the scandal that often fuels tabloid headlines. But the timing of the divorce, coupled with Vince's growing closeness to Christian music star Amy Grant, sparked whispers. Grant, who was also navigating a divorce, became a lightning rod for speculation when their professional collaboration turned personal. Tabloids pounced, suggesting an affair despite no evidence to support the claims. For Vince, whose music had always been a window into his soul, the scrutiny was a harsh spotlight. Fans, especially those in the Christian music community who revered Grant, grappled with the news. Some saw it as a betrayal of the values both artists had championed, while others admired their resilience in the face of judgment. The backlash hit Amy harder, given her faith-based audience, but Vince wasn't spared. Their relationship, which blossomed into a marriage in 2000, was scrutinized relentlessly in its early days. Evangelical critics, in particular, questioned the morality of their union, pointing to the timing of their divorces. Radio stations pulled back on Grant's airplay, and both artists faced a wave of gossip that painted them as flawed, even scandalous. Yet Vince and Amy handled it with grace. They didn't feed the media frenzy with denials or defensiveness. Instead, they let their actions and their music speak. Vince poured his emotions into his songs, crafting ballads that carried the weight of his experiences. Amy, too, leaned into her faith and artistry, proving that love and redemption could coexist with imperfection. Over time, the public's perception softened, and their marriage became a testament to second chances. But the scars of that period lingered. Now, decades later, Vince's letter has brought all these threads, his triumphs, his battles, his personal struggles, into sharp focus. The message, described as calm yet heavy with meaning, has fans poring over every line, searching for clues. Some speculate it's a retirement announcement, a natural step for an artist who's given everything to his craft. Others fear it hints at something more serious, a health issue perhaps, kept private out of Vince's characteristic humility. Still others wonder if personal challenges, maybe tied to the pressures of fame or the weight of his past, are behind the letter's tone. Industry insiders, too, are talking, with some suggesting Vince's critiques of Nashville's politics may have left him disillusioned. He's always been the guy who says what others won't, one producer told a music blog recently, but that kind of honesty comes at a cost. The letter's ambiguity only fuels the fire. Unlike the typical celebrity statement, polished and predictable, this feels personal, almost confessional. Fans have taken to social media, sharing snippets and theories. Vince has always been about truth, one fan posted on X. So why does this feel like he's holding something back? Another wrote, "If this is goodbye, I'm not ready." The emotional outpouring reflects the deep connection Vince has forged with his audience. His music, with its unguarded honesty, has been a companion through life's highs and lows. From When I Call Your Name to Go Rest High on That Mountain, his songs have been there for weddings, funerals, and quiet nights of reflection. To imagine a world without new music from Vince Gill is, for many, unthinkable. Yet the letter's tone suggests he's at peace even if the reasons remain unclear. Some see it as the culmination of a career built on doing things his way. Vince has never been one to chase fame for its own sake. He's turned down lucrative deals that didn't align with his values, stayed loyal to his roots, and mentored countless artists who now carry his influence. His legacy isn't just in the awards, though he has plenty, including 21 Grammys, or the chart-topping hits. It's in the way he's touched lives, from the fan who found solace in his music during a tough time, to the aspiring singer who saw him as proof that authenticity could still win. If this is the end, it's a legacy that will endure, etched in the hearts of fans and the history of country music. But the questions linger. Why this letter, and why now? Is Vince stepping back to focus on family? Perhaps reflecting on the years spent balancing fame with fatherhood to Jenny and his stepchildren with Amy? Is he battling something he's chosen not to share, in keeping with his private nature? Or Altar, could it be that he's simply ready to walk away, content with a career that's already given so much? The speculation is endless, and Vince, true to form, isn't rushing to clarify. His silence, like his music, speaks volumes, leaving room for interpretation and emotion. As Nashville grapples with the weight of his words, one truth stands out. Vince Gill has always been more to his fans than a singer. He's been a storyteller, a truth teller, a beacon stellingen. His voice carrying the joys and sorrows of ordinary life with an honesty that's rare in a world of flash and hype. Whether this letter marks the end of his journey or a new chapter, his impact is undeniable. He's given country music some of its most enduring songs, its most heartfelt moments, and its most unwavering voice for authenticity. And as fans await the next verse of his story, they hold tight to the memories of a man who sang from the soul, who fought for what he believed in, and who loved as deeply as he lived.